This is the Pat Nat Cast, a podcast hosted by Pat Nat Games. Today I'm joined by TheCartoonGamer 8000. He is known for his many years of think pieces on various games and cartoons, according to his brand and his portfolio. Speaking of his portfolio, you might also know him from his various editorial work done over on the Digino Gaming channel. Malik, welcome to the show.
You're way too kind, but it's nice to be here. You flatter me, kind sir.
Oh, I tend to do pretty good right at the start. It's because the podcast only goes downhill from the beginning. So I like to get people really buttered up at the start, you know. By the end, the guests are usually really frustrated with me. They're like, hey, why did you jukes us like that? With such a nice opening.
We'll see where this goes. That's just the way it goes.
Yeah, we'll see. For those who don't know, I this is my second time doing a podcast. Back when I did my Pat's Creative podcast way back in 2021 or so, and we haven't spoken on call since. And it's nice to finally clear the grievances. You know, I'm sure we both had big grudges we were holding against each other. So the world's at peace now, guys.
Truth comes out. You can read me like a book.
Us. Right. We've hashed it out. We're good. The hatchet's buried.
Yeah.
To start us off here, I do have some icebreaker questions just so that the people out there can get to know you and so that we can get to know each other a little bit more.
Okay.
If there's one thing I know about you, you love Donkey Kong. You really love Donkey Kong. I think you are probably the person who likes Donkey Kong the most in my feeds. Which is which is a badge of honor you should wear proudly. That's a tough feat to achieve. Obviously, we just had a recent banger of a Donkey Kong game release, and it's been a good time for Donkey Kong fans. I wanted to ask you, though, because Donkey Kong Bonanza, it's kind of considered probably a mainline Donkey Kong game just from its scope and scale, even though 3D platforming Donkey Kong hasn't been around in a hot minute. Donkey Kong is known, though, for doing a lot of spin-offs far from its core series. And out of curiosity, if there was one Donkey Kong game, whether it be spin-off or mainline, that you think deserves more recognition, which Donkey Kong game would you pick? And if you don't have a Donkey Kong game that you want to answer, then why should we care more about the Donkey Kong TV show that happened oh so long ago? Dealer's choice. If you run out of time, you could always get the lifeline of the Donkey Kong TV show, because I know for a fact that you have covered that in the past.
Yes, that is true, and I have sung its praises, and I have also talked about where it may have fallen a little flat. So, but in terms of like if there's what Donkey Kong game I feel is a bit underlooked in terms of like what was it, like a spin-off or main game, I would say I honestly haven't even actually played these games myself, but they would be the DK King of Swing duology, DK King of Swing and DK Jungle Climber, because, again, I haven't played these myself yet. I would like to try them out someday, but there's a lot of stuff in there that a lot of people take for granted, or just not take for granted, but they just don't know about these games and what they did for the Donkey Kong fan base back in the day. Like, again, sure. I wasn't playing these games when they came out. I didn't even know they existed back in like 05 and 07. But you'll see a lot of people saying that like King K. Rool and a bunch of the elements that Rare introduced in Donkey Kong games were missing from like 2000 to like 2010. But no, the guys who made King of Swing and Jungle Climber, I think I said their name, Payon, they kept that stuff alive. Like, they were doing a bunch of stuff that a lot of Donkey Kong fans appreciated, because they were like, are they going to keep, like, now that Rare is gone, are they going to keep what they kept and, like, keep the story going? And yes, they did. There's things in there like K. Rool is still the antagonist. There's enemies from DKC2, DK64, Wrinkly Kong, Donkey Kong's grandma.
Everyone's favorite, Wrinkly Kong, yeah.
She died in DK64, and they kept that. Right. She was still a ghost in those games. They didn't have to do that. They didn't have to do that. They could have brought her back to life, and honestly, I would have been okay with that. But like, no, she died, and she's still dead. So I really appreciate that those guys are like, you know what? Let's keep doing what Rare was doing. And again, a lot of people who were playing Donkey Kong or were keeping tabs on DK at the time really do appreciate that. So. Yeah. I would say people should give those games a shot. I know I'd like to. I have them on my Wii U Virtual Console.
Right.
I still haven't played them yet, but I will someday.
Yeah, well, first of all, rest in peace, Wrinkly Kong. I'd like to imagine she died doing what she loved, which was playing Super Mario 64 on her rocking chair.
There's many theories about what happened to her, but
oh, many theories. I think the theories on Chunky Kong's death is a little bit more substantial, though.
Chunky's alive, though. I don't know what you're talking about.
You're right. He is alive. Yeah, a lot of what's it called? Headcanons. A lot of headcanons were disproven when the Mario movie came out, but that's okay. I guess second of all, I think it's interesting that your reasonings for DK Jungle Climbers is like the world of Donkey Kong itself, because I also know that the world of Donkey Kong is something that you have quite a fancy for. You really like the different characters that are in there, the way they interact with each other, and like you mentioned, Donkey Kong lore. There is a surprising amount of it underneath the layers of, or the sub layers of gameplay that Donkey Kong games have. So I guess kind of a continuation question to that. Some people have criticized Donkey Kong Bonanza as going too far from the Donkey Kong lore. Is that something that you find yourself caring about a lot, or do you kind of see like, Donkey Kong game's a Donkey Kong game, but even though you like the world of Donkey Kong generally?
So I actually do care a lot about the stuff that they brought up in Bonanza, and just in general, like it really depends on the franchise. Like I'm more invested in some franchises than I am others, but I love what they did with Bonanza and its lore. And for anyone who hasn't played the game yet, I won't delve into spoilers, but there are some things it does that where it retcons maybe a couple of things here and there in terms of like Pauline, and it muddies some things up there, but in other areas it pays so much attention to just like the Donkey Kong universe and what a lot of people care about. Like there was a whole discourse going on about like, oh, does Donkey Kong actually have things people care about? And it's like, yes it does. I'm sure there's a bunch of other franchises out there that you care about where you're like, I'm happy that I'm happy that they kept they thought about the fans, and they gave a lot of fan service and things like that. So yeah, Bonanza has a lot of stuff that I never thought that Nintendo EPD would ever pay attention to. But the guys making that game, they said it themselves. They love Donkey Kong Country, and they grew up playing DKC. They really love the game, and when you see what they put in there, they're like, oh my god, these guys are more freaks than even I was.
Right.
I thought I was devoted. Yeah.
Without even spoiling anything with it, just I'll just say sound effects. It's great.
Yeah. It's like, whoa.
The homage they pay with sound effects is great. I grew up playing Donkey Kong 64 quite a bit, and loved it back in time. Love it a little less now, but back in time, loved it to death. And even seeing that, while this isn't very much a sequel to Donkey Kong 64, despite it being a 3D platformer, there is definitely a lot of areas where it pays homage to that game specifically that I very much was happy to see, even if it wasn't directly the direct source material, essentially. Maybe one day we'll get a remake of Donkey Kong 64, a game that could very much use a remake with some ironing out certain kinks, but that's still a pipe dream for another time.
Yeah, I wouldn't complain.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't complain. I'd be very, very happy. I'd become a child again, but that's okay. I'll still be an adult for now. The other icebreaker question I wanted to ask you, and going just not just based off of your name, but you very much clearly also like cartoons. We're in an interesting time right now where a lot of video game IPs are being turned into cartoons or movies, animated movies, right? With the Mario movie, Sonic, Minecraft. I was just curious, is there any video game that you would love to see a cartoon adaptation of that hasn't existed yet? And what would that be? Which cartoon would that be?
Okay, so a long time ago, and by a long time ago, I mean like 2016, 2015, My answer would have been Sly Cooper because I love the Sly Cooper series.
Right.
But what was it? The Ratchet and Clank movie came out, which is another franchise that I love to bits.
Right.
And I was one of the 20 people to see that movie in theaters, and I absolutely hated it.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
And when I heard they were making a Sly Cooper movie, I was like, and it was the same group of people who made the Ratchet and Clank movie. And I was like, man, if they were, it's like, I don't even want to think what they're going to do to Sly if that's what they did to Ratchet. Right. And then the movie got canceled, and then they said they were going to make an animated series. And that went nowhere, and you would think I would be more torn up about that, but like I'm not too torn up about that. But if someone came around and made like a good Sly Cooper movie or TV series, I would be all for it. But yeah.
Well, and that's the tricky thing with video game adaptations is a lot of them have just historically not maybe held up to other movie standards that exist out there. I think it feels only like recently has video game movies kind of caught the popular appeal with first Sonic and then Mario. I do think what's interesting about Sly is I could see it going either way, where it's either a 3D animated film. I could also see a pretty kick-ass 2D animated film though, with just based on the cutscenes and comic book style transitions they had in those games, which I just love. I think that's the first thing I think of when I think of Sly. And I would love to see that done well on the big screen for sure.
For sure. I'd love to see that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for humoring me with some of these questions. I've got a little bit of a more traditional question for you.
Okay.
What have you been playing? What's been in your hands? What games have been in your library on your screen? What kind of games has the Cartoon Gamer 8000 been experiencing lately?
Well, that's the first time. Well, actually, it's not a lot of people don't call me by the 8000, but I appreciate that. But
I just think it's so fun, and I like how you embrace it. You keep it on both your tag and your actual name. I think it's great.
Yeah. I mean, I figured, so you know what, I'll just keep it. Why the heck not? I don't usually say it out loud, but it's there.
And 8000 is such a big number too, and that's why it feels like it has a lot of weight. You know.
I think I said it before. It was originally going to be 9,000, but then I thought I'd be super dorky and be like, actually, in Dragon Ball, in the original DBZ, he actually said over 8,000, so that's where it comes from.
That's great. I love that. It's beautiful.
But in terms of games that I've been playing right now, I found the time somehow to sink like 40 hours into Pokemon Legends ZA, or Legends ZA as I like to call it.
Nice.
And before I was doing that, I was actually playing an earlier Game Freak title, Mario and Wario, via SNES Online, because I have always wanted to try that game out because it was directed by Mr. Satoshi Tajiri, creator of Pokemon himself. And it's actually been, and it uses the SNES mouse, but you can use a USB mouse just fine. And I've actually gotten quite sucked into it. It's actually a cute little puzzle game where it's like, it doesn't take a lot. Well, no, there's quite a bit of brain power behind it, but it's also really relaxing. It's just a really chill game to just sit back and it feels like an old PC game, except on the Super Nintendo. And I really love it. I love seeing what the Game Freak guys can do outside of Pokemon.
Right. Which we don't get to see very often. I think it's also, I think it's cool to see that backwards applications for having a mouse on the Switch too. Because we Nintendo and its innovative control styles, or that always seems to be the reason why they introduce things like maybe a mouse on a console. But it's cool to see how it can still apply way back when they've already tried this innovation or innovative play style that we haven't been able to experience for a while, and then now get to see it in a new light. I think that's great. I wanted to ask you about Pokemon ZA though. What's your temp check on that per se? Because I don't play Pokemon games really anymore, and I'm always curious because there's obviously a lot of discourse that goes on every time a Pokemon game comes out, and from an outsider's perspective, when I see Z through A, what I seem to understand is that the gameplay is very fun. It's some of the experiential stuff that is less appealing. But I'm just curious what your thoughts have been on it.
So again, like every single I try not to pay attention to the discourse on Pokemon games because it's just a lot of shouting and back and forth.
It can be exhausting for sure.
It is very exhausting. I just tune that stuff out. But in terms of I always have like not hangups, but I'm always like a little skeptical going into a Pokemon game. But every time I play a Pokemon game, I always get suckered in, and somehow I just lose track of time, and I'm like, I gotta play more of this before I go to bed. When I wake up in the morning, it is just like it's like Pokemon, how it's always been for me, but it does a lot of cool new things in terms of like the battle system. It's like it might be the coolest the battle system has ever been. I think it's an improvement from Legends Arceus. Let's see, I've been playing it on the Switch too, so it looks nice. The frame rate is good. I like the new Mega Evolutions. The story's been pretty good, but yeah, I mean, there's some things that I have hangups with in terms of like, it had a little bit of a slow start, and there's a couple of mechanics where I'm like, I wish this stuff from the main games was in this game here, or various other things, but it really hasn't hampered my experience with the game, and I'm just having fun with it like I would any other Pokemon game, and
you mentioned the start being slow. I think it's interesting because I feel like that's something Pokemon's just never been able to beat those allegations. It seems like the start of every Pokemon game is a little bit slower than I'd like, especially when you factor how many people are not playing Pokemon for the first time, right? I'm surprised how they still don't have like a just skip all tutorial option. But yeah, I think the thing that excites me the most is hearing people's reception to the battle system specifically, because one thing I've noticed with RPGs, and I know calling Pokemon an RPG might be a little disingenuous, but one thing with RPGs is that I tend to enjoy them a lot more when there's some kind of real-time component added to the battle systems. Recent games like Expedition 33, but even back with like Paper Mario games, I can get into those a lot better because it gives my fingers something more responsive to do as opposed to just strategizing. And I think that's been like the coolest looking through the window thing about Pokemon Za for me, is just like, oh, that looks cool. I kind of want to try that. I also probably won't get it. I just don't have time for Pokemon games these days, it feels like. But yeah, I always like to ask people because I find it fascinating. I get to look at the discourse with popcorn because, you know, I don't actually have my own stakes. I don't have my own poker chips on the table. I just get to watch and see the players play, and I find enjoyment in that. So any other games you wanted to mention about your recent playtime?
Let's see. So I think that's pretty much it in terms of the games I've been playing, because aside from that, I've been busy making videos about video games. But that has been taking up most of my time. Like I still haven't played that Hollow Knight Silk Song game, but I will after I'm done with Legends Zaw. That'll be the next thing on my list.
Yeah,
I've heard the horror stories.
I barely get through Hollow Knight, so I genuinely think I'm not skilled enough to play Silk Song, unfortunately. But
I don't think so too. It's gonna kick my butt, but
yeah,
I'm looking forward to it, I guess.
Oh, sure. I as for games I've been playing, the big one I'll just mention is I joined some of the open test rides for Kirby Air Riders. I got some good time in both of those. If those out there who have not gotten time in it, actually, you're out of time by the time this comes up. I'm sorry, because this weekend is the last weekend, and this video is going up after it. But I played it a lot. I played several hours. I was supposed to be doing other work, and I couldn't get myself to stop playing. I loved it so much. I was having so much fun. For context, I grew up with Kirby Air Ride, and I loved it to bits. So this seeing this return and finally feeling it in my hands and experiencing Sakurai's wonderful vision as he always has. It's just perfection, bliss. Just some small things I want to throw out there in case there's Kirby Air Ride fans out there. I know not a lot of them exist, but in case they're out there, some cool things that they have added. The biggest thing for me, like the biggest game changing thing, is instead of one set event happening after you collect all of your gear and stats, You now have 4 events, and each of the players can choose which of the 4 events they want to do and get put into their own basically sub competitions. I think this is a great way to allow players to not feel bad for picking certain vehicles that are not applicable to a wide range of events. Now they can pick whichever vehicle is the most fun, and chances are an event will appear that aids that vehicle, which is awesome. So I've been able to experience some vehicles that I would never pick up otherwise, and that's been great. Also, another big thing is just the new in-game events they add while you're gearing up. They add some exciting things like races that'll happen out of nowhere. These portal sections where you can start teleporting to other places of the map. They have these random like battle arenas that you'll have to get to a certain part of the map to actually enter and then battle. Meanwhile, while you're battling, the other players can still gear up outside. So it's really like a give or take. If you think you're going to get more gear just by going into the battles or staying out of it. Love that stuff. I know that's all very big specifics if you haven't played Kirby Air Ride before, but just rest assured for the 2 or 3 Kirby Air Ride fans, this game's looking like a great sequel, a phenomenal sequel. I'm super excited for it to come out. So that's my mini rant that I tried to keep condensed as possible. I love the game, and I can't wait to experience the full version of it because it looks rad. Does that at all interest you, or this
it does interest
Kirby
me.
Ride game?
Yeah. Like I haven't played I maybe only played the original Air Ride for maybe like 20 minutes, but I have loved what I have seen of this new game, and but again, like I can't get it right away because it's kind of expensive, especially in Canadian dollars. But I'm hoping maybe sometime down the road I can get a chance to try it out. Maybe I'll try one of those test ride thingies before the end of the week.
Yeah, this weekend's the last time to do it, but they have like 3 big time slots for it, so it's pretty good pretty easy to make time for it, which is nice.
I'll see if I can.
I also am not buying it day one. Despite all my excitement, I am going to be renting it, and then I'll wait until it goes on sale before I actually buy it at some point. Mostly because Metroid Prime 4 comes out very soon after, and I already pre-ordered that. So I'm like, I can't do the back-to-back right now. Let's just rent Kirby Air Ride, get some fun with it, have some severe patience, and then eventually pick it up when it goes on eBay for cheaper. Of course, Metroid Prime 4 is that's a priority for me. I'm a big Metroid
of
fan. Of course. So all that said, that's pretty much what I've been playing lately that I haven't already talked about on the show. Are you ready to get into some headlines? To get into some news?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
All right. The first thing I've got lined up here is it's from My Nintendo News. The headline reads, Nintendo president admits Switch 2 game development takes longer than the original. This is an article basically talking about a interview that the Nintendo president had talking about the development time of Switch 2 games. And while on the surface, it's like, well, yeah, of course, Switch 2 games would take longer than Switch 1 games. It is just interesting, given the recent industry issues with games taking a long time to release, and seeing Nintendo not only confirm that, but they also go into detail about how they actually want to continue to focus on Switch games as a way of getting stuff out frequently while they're working harder on Switch 2 games. And that's the part that I thought was very interesting, because this might be, and I mean, hey, you're the guy who does editorial work, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this might be the most how do you say, the most post-mortem support for a console that Nintendo has given. Would you say that's crazy in assuming?
I wouldn't say that's crazy in assuming. I'd say yeah. I'm trying to think of the other stuff that Nintendo supported, and after like the new console came out, and usually when a new console comes out, they just drop the old thing. Like usually there might be like some third-party support for maybe a couple years after, but Nintendo is usually like yeah, no, we're not doing this anymore. So I thought to myself, 2025 or 2026 might be the last year for the original Switch. 2025, I'm thinking, is the last big year for like first-party games. You'll get Legends, the Metroid Prime 4, and whatever else came out in 2025. 2026, we got Rhythm Heaven, and I'm sure we'll get like maybe one or two things, but come 2027,
that Me game as well. That's coming
yeah,
out.
the Miitomo, not Tomodachi Life,
not
Tomodachi
Miitomo.
Life.
I'm glad you mixed it up too, because I've been mixing it up every podcast and I get made fun of. So I'm glad I'm not the only one. But yeah, the next Tomodachi Life game.
Yeah, Tomodachi and Rhythm Heaven, right? Yeah, those are coming out next year.
Right. Yeah, it's just interesting though to see this late into the year, and this could just be, corporate speak to be like, hey, still buy Switch games, don't lose your Switch yet,
Yeah.
But it is interesting seeing so late into this year that they're still talking about development for those other games. I think also what they could be implying is just further support for Switch 1 games, like further DLC or upgrades to the Switch 2 edition. I know recently they announced the Animal Crossing big DLC drop, as well as the Switch 2 edition of that. So it seems like they're still very much playing both sides. It does. I mean, you could also picture it along the lines of back when they had the mobile line as well as the home console line, because there was always a lot of overlap there whenever a new console generation would arrive. Even the 3DS still had some games decent ways into the Switch life cycle.
Yep.
But the way they're talking, I might imagine that we'll be getting Switch games longer than any other postmortem console from Nintendo. That's my half-baked prediction that could go completely wrong, and that's okay. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting hearing them also just kind of admit that times for these Switch 2 games are going to take a long time. It makes you wonder if they're going to be able to, how well they're going to be able to keep up this momentum of Switch 2 releases, because they have a pretty good docket for the first year of the console's lifespan, and we might see a period of slowdown at some point when a lot of that stuff that was maybe being held for the Switch 2's launch starts to dry up. I guess we'll see. It's all speculative for now, but just fascinating to see them actually mention it. Anything else you wanted to add to this one?
Well, when you said like slowdown, I feel like every Nintendo console, home console at the very least, has experienced some sort of slow period. So I wouldn't be surprised if Switch 2 has a slowdown if we're not already in it right now.
Right.
Some people will argue.
Yeah, which I think is, to say we're in it right now feels weird, but that could just be because I am so infatuated by Kirby Air Ride to Metroid Prime 4. It's like, in my head, how can we conceive this as like a slow period? But other people I know have also brought up like saying the directs have had slow releases. But even, I don't know, I feel like we've got games coming up pretty early into 2026. So I don't know. Either way, just something I thought was worth bringing up. It's a slow news week, so we don't have like a ton of big, huge headlines to go over. This is not an article. This is just to announce that Hyrule Warriors: Age of Imprisonment has officially come out, and review scores have been coming out for it. It seems to have been generally its review scores have been a little bit lower than its previous installments, but they still have been sitting around an 8 out of 10 to an 8.5 out of 10 at the different sources that I've seen. So for all of you out there who've been waiting for a Hyrule Warriors game to come out, it's out. And apparently it runs at a mostly solid 60 frames per second, sometimes dips a little bit below 50. Not that frame rate's everything, but in the context of a Warriors game, I know that's always a little bit of a concern. So to those who are wondering how well it perform on the Switch 2, it seems most of the time it runs at 60 FPS. Occasionally will dip. Anything you wanted to mention about the Hyrule Warriors or anything? You don't have to. I just, I don't want to move on without giving you a chance.
No, that's okay. I'm not really into the Zelda series, but that's cool. Right. It's nice to see Hyrule Warriors is still going strong, like 10 years on. Like, I didn't think we'd still be talking about this.
Right. It's such a bizarre spin-off when it was first announced, and I never would have expected it to not just still be going on, but also still being, I don't know, almost like a big contributing factor to the Zelda timeline in a way. There's a lot of legend to the Legend of Zelda that you can only really experience through the Hyrule Warriors games. some even make the argument that there's more legend to experience in the Hyrule Warrior games than the Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom counterparts, which generally take a little bit of a lighter approach to story building. Not to say there's no story, but it's very much a story does not interrupt the gameplay format, while Hyrule Warriors, they go back to specific time periods that were alluded to in those games. And it's fascinating to me just seeing that it's just one of Zelda's series now, especially after, Dynasty Warriors was never a, phenomenally popular series. It has its credit, but just interesting to see it branch out like that.
I had a similar feeling when I played Persona 5 Strikers, where it's like, that's another Warriors game, but it continues the story of Persona 5. So that hooked me in, and I was like, oh, wow, this is awesome.
Yeah. Well, and Persona is interesting because it has so many different things going on already that it feels like their main games is just a collection of spin-offs in a bizarre way, right? I guess that's a limited view, maybe more towards Persona 5 specifically, but it is interesting to see what spin-offs sticks and which ones don't. Like Kirby Air Riders, apparently that didn't stick the first time around, but maybe it will the second. We'll see. Fingers crossed.
Yep. Here's hoping.
The next headline is from Nintendo Life. Pokemon Legends Z through A's Mega Dimension DLC scores December release date. This is kind of topical given that you were talking about Pokemon ZA. It seems like they now have a release date for the 10th of December for the DLC upcoming. Generally, how do you feel about are you a DLC guy? Are you someone who will add more to your experience? And if so, does this particular DLC interest you at all?
Yes and yes. Like okay. I got for Bonanza, I got the Emerald Island DLC. No, Emerald Rush DLC. And I sunk so much time into that, so it was worth the purchase for me. And I've been having a lot of fun with Legends ZA. So originally, when they announced the DLC before the game came out, I raised a little bit of a stink on that. I was like, let me play the game first before you sell me DLC. Right. But after playing through the game, I'm like, you know what? I probably will sink money into this. I probably will buy the DLC. It might not be on day one, but from what I've seen and from what I've played of the base game, I'll be like, yeah, I think I'll get my money's worth out of it.
Yeah, and I think that would be expected of someone who heavily contributes to Pokemonth on this channel. So I think that checks out. I don't fully understand Mega Evolutions, to be honest. I left the scene before those were kind of introduced. Is this a hefty amount? Like, what is inherently exciting about these Mega Evolutions? What's this? I don't know what the selling point is. Like, is it just that it's more Pokemon, or is it that they're more powerful? Like, what's the deal here?
In a lot of cases for Mega Evolution, it's sort of 50-50 where like already strong Pokemon get cool new forms and they get cool new sometimes they get all new typings. But for other Pokemon, sometimes there's something where it's like the Pokemon could have been like the base Pokemon has some like untapped potential in terms of like either design, typing, or just overall strength. I really like when Pokemon who don't have really good stats or maybe have been overlooked in terms of some other popular Pokemon get a Mega Evolution. And I'm like, whoa, they gave this to this little thing that really didn't really have anything going for it. And I think that's awesome. Or it's like they take a design that was already cool and then they're like, okay, here's the next evolution of this design, almost literally in that sense. But Mega Evolution gives a lot of Pokemon like more, not competitive viability. I don't really do competitive, but it just makes a lot of Pokemon stronger, sometimes for better, sometimes for worse. And a lot of really cool designs come out of it. And in terms of the anime, like whenever I see something in the games, I'm like, I can't wait to see how this thing operates in the anime. So it's just eye candy and stuff for me.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. So it's the fact that you're getting more exciting Pokemon designs that get added to your decks or whatnot. That's
I like cool designs, dumb designs, fun designs. Just
sure.
just don't make it boring.
Designs.
Yeah,
I see. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I can respect that. This is a random side tangent that has nothing to do with what we were talking about that much, but
that's all right.
Recently, Nintendo. It's news. It's news. Nintendo recently launched a new app called the eShop app, and what's funny about the eShop app? Well, there's a couple things. Number one, you can't actually buy things on the app. It just links you to the eShop website, which is so Nintendo. It's very funny. The other interesting thing though is that you could see your play stats from your 3DS and your Wii U if they were linked up to that same account, which is pretty cool. And looking at the play stats of my 3DS, going down memory lane, seeing, I think I played Pokemon X or Y like a little bit on there, but what I had way more hours in than the actual Pokemon game itself was the 3D Pokedex app that they had. And I completely forgot that thing existed until I saw it in my feed and how many hours I sunk in just looking at that Pokedex. I don't know why I spent so much time on that Pokedex. I don't even think it was, I'm pretty sure it was just Generation 5. I don't even think it was all the generations. And I didn't have Pokemon Black and White when that first came out. So I don't know why I spent so much time on that, but to loop this back around to what we were talking about, I did really enjoy looking at the different designs and seeing some of the Pokemon in 3D. And I can understand the appeal of wanting to get more of that after the game comes out. So there you go. Yeah. I found a way to bring it back. Yeah.
Yeah, Pokédex 3D actually did have, it had an update later on where it got all the Pokemon up to that point.
No kidding.
Yeah,
wow.
You had to pay
I don't
for
think
that.
I experienced it at that point. Oh, that's definitely why I didn't experience it. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Well, I thoroughly enjoyed my time even with the free version then for whatever reason. So I could see the garbage bag Pokemon in 3D.
I like Trubbish.
He's cool. I just remember thinking, like, doing a bit of a glasses wipe. Like, am I looking at garbage right now? It was kind of fun. But yeah, no shade to the garbage Pokemon. Our next headline that I want to go over is from My Nintendo News. Sonic Racing Cross Worlds Nintendo Switch 2 Edition, available digitally early December. So Sonic Racing Cross Worlds is kind of, I think, got a little bit more attention than most Sonic racing games, mostly because Mario Kart World having a little bit of an underwhelming performance amongst people who love Mario Kart games. Not performance, but popularity, rather. I think some people saw this as maybe this is Sonic's time to shine with their decent-looking racing game. I did rent this for a little bit on the first Nintendo Switch, not the Switch 2 edition. And the biggest difference being that it runs at 30 FPS instead of 60. A lot of textures are like downscaled and stuff. It didn't look great, right? But they're finally announcing the Switch 2 edition. One thing I think is kind of cool that Sonic Racing Cross Worlds did is that their regular Switch edition only launched at $60, even though the regular price was $70 for other consoles. That way, when the Switch 2 edition did come out, they didn't have to like upcharge it more. Now it's just the same price as where you buy it everywhere else. Still $70, which is pricey. $70 here in America, at least.
I wish it was $70 up here.
I know. I was like, I should be careful in flaunting these exact numbers because I understand. That's pretty high over there. But yeah, this is kind of cool. I enjoyed my time with Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. For me, the kart racer champion is still Kirby Air Riders, obviously, but Sonic Racing Cross Worlds I found a lot of fun. I loved I really liked being able to transfer in between stages real time and almost getting the benefit of if you're first, you get more of a say as to which place you go and stuff. That's all great. Any of this interest you at all, or?
I was going to say my favorite racing game is Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, but it's nice to see Sonic is getting a lot of love with this game.
Sure. Did Nitro Fueled come out this year?
Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled? No, that came out in 2019.
Oh, okay. Because I mentioned that in terms of King of Kart Racing, I meant for like this year specifically. So I got confused if I completely missed that one because I'm trying to. I might make a video about the kart races released this year. So I was like, did I miss one? But no. Okay. It sounds like I'm good. Also, I've just decided to omit Garfield Kart.
That's
unfortunately,
okay.
I don't think it's a necessity for a video of that topic. But
Nah.
Crash Team Racing looks fun too. It looks fun.
I lost so much time in that game back in the day.
The real question is, when are we getting the next Diddy Kong Racing? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I'm waiting for them to put that on NSO. I know they're teasing us with that.
But. Yeah, to be able to play that online too would just be a lot of fun. Yeah, that's a fun one. Our next headline is not a headline at all. It's actually a tweet from Mike Odyssey. I don't really know who Mike Odyssey is, but every time Mike Odyssey tweets something, a bunch of articles come out just about his tweet specifically. So I'm going to do the same. But his tweet reads, "The Zelda movie has been fully casted and we'll hear an announcement soon. We could even see a teaser trailer on or before the 40th anniversary. The status has been changed from pre-production to in production now, and is now filming in Wellington, New Zealand, as seen in the report below." This is just a smaller headline, basically saying the Zelda movie is actually in production now, apparently. I didn't know it was going to take place in New Zealand. I think that's great, but that's only because, obviously, Lord of the Rings also in New Zealand, and that's a very pretty place to film.
Of course.
But I thought this might be a decent enough jumping off point to ask what the Cartoon Gamer 8000's opinions are on, or at least predictions. How do you feel about a Zelda movie, and is there things you would hope to see from it or hope to not see from it? What's your temp check?
Now, originally I was just gonna say, look, unless Donkey Kong is in it, I really don't care. All right, but no, I'll just say,
okay,
it's nice.
You're right.
It's nice that Zelda is getting a movie, and I was originally, again, I was also like, I'm really not gonna see this Zelda movie. I have no stake in Zelda, but I think I'm gonna go watch it just to see what all the hype is about. I feel like that's just like my duty, just to see it. Like, let's see, because I'm not even heavily into Sonic. I like Sonic the Hedgehog, but I don't follow every single release. But I saw all three Sonic movies in theaters, so I think I'll give Zelda that luxury. I'll give Zelda the benefit of the doubt, and I'll just watch it in theaters. I'm sure someone like me who doesn't follow all the Zelda games will be able to follow along. Okay.
Yeah, and I completely had forgotten that earlier this podcast you blatantly told us that you hated Zelda. So
that's what I
didn't
said.
Mean to put you on
that's what I said.
Yeah, verbatim. No, yeah, I'm on a similar boat to where I'll probably end up watching it out of morbid curiosity. I don't think the video game adaptations and movies don't fancy me so much, I don't think. But one thing that I talked a little bit about last episode that excites me with the Zelda one is that it is a less star-studded cast, which I think is going to be good. I think when attributing to actors to characters we already know, it's almost better to do actors we don't know from something else because it feels kind of mind-bendy. Hence, Chris Pratt being Mario and stuff like that. That is just a little bit, not that it's impossible to get immersed into, but it takes a little bit of an extra step to fully buy into that universe. And apparently the Zelda movie is using some lesser known actors, which I think is awesome. Also, it's just awesome for them, of course. We'll see how it goes. We'll see. It is live action, right? I guess they're filming in New Zealand. It is live action, and I think that'll be interesting. I don't know how it'll go, but it is interesting, and it is in production now. So,
yeah.
Okay. Moving on to the next smaller headline. Like I said, it's a slow news week. Headline. It's also about movies. Nintendo, as of today, which is going to be a week late by the time you guys hear this, but as of today, Nintendo announced a direct coming out for the Super Mario Galaxy movie. This direct is planned for the 13th, which is 2 days from recording. It is unfortunate that we scheduled this before the direct actually came out because, oh boy, I bet that'd be much more interesting to talk about. But the direct is coming out, and I don't have much to add about this, but what I do have to add is that people in the Metroid subreddit pointed out that we officially are probably not getting a Metroid Prime 4 Direct before Prime 4 comes out. And that is unfortunate because that game has been kind of sliding under the limelight a little bit just because Nintendo has not been revealing a ton about it. Occasional trailer here or there. But the Metroid subreddit is very, very anxious to sink their teeth into more substantial marketing. And we might not get an actual Direct for it now, which is funny because we got 2 Directs for Kirby Air Riders. But, you know.
I mean, who knows?
What are you
we'll
do?
See.
We'll see.
Or maybe we won't.
You never know. At the end of the day, the game comes out when the game comes out, regardless of marketing before. And, you know, I bought it either way. I'm happy to experience it, whether or not it's good or bad. It's going to be at least good. But I'm happy to experience it, and I'm happy to sink my own critical analysis into it so that I can decide if it's you know, worthy of the Pat Nat stamp of approval, which everyone should be after, by the way. It's a prestigious stamp.
Absolutely.
And that's the best I can do talking about this one without going completely into Metroid mode, apparently. Did you have anything you wanted to add to this?
So for the Mario Galaxy Direct?
Yeah, right. That thing we were supposed to be talking about. Yeah, that.
Yeah. I think I have a few things to say about that. Like, again, this is a Mario movie where I'm like, I really don't think Donkey Kong is going to be in it. So, you know, my interest has gone down just a little bit, but I do have a bit more of a stake in Mario. So I will still watch this. I will still be interested in it. I'm interested to see who they get for the celebrity voice actors this time for like the new characters and things like that. So yeah, this is another movie I'm going to go watch because like, yeah, I kind of have to see it, but I'm looking forward to this Direct just to see how they surprise and or horrify me.
Right. Yeah, no, I think after we had our initial culture shock with the first Super Mario movie trailer for the original movie that came out, you know, a while ago, now that we've already been through that culture shock, I think maybe we'll be more prepared for this one when it comes out, and the bizarre things will be more normalized, and we'll just be like, okay, but you know, we'll see. I know there hasn't been any mention of Rosalina yet, and I think people are very curious to see how they're going to handle Rosalina, because obviously she's going to be in it, but people are already speculating who she's going to play, what her inclusion in the movie is going to be like. They did recently, and I don't have a citation for this, but they have a Pillsbury collaboration that accidentally leaked a image of some renders from Super Mario Galaxy movie, which is so funny. What a funny place to leak images. There's no images of Rosalina, but there was an image of a rendering of Yoshi, which is kind of neat. I guess it makes sense for Yoshi to be in this movie. Yep. There is that too, and I didn't include that in my headlines because I was like, it's not even newsworthy. But apparently, not everything in the show is newsworthy, and that's okay.
That's all right.
The important thing is that we got through the headlines, which means I can ask you my next question.
Sure.
The first question: headlines. Second question: what games that are in the pipeline, whether it be Nintendo or indie games or PlayStation, anything, any kind of games coming up, what are you currently excited for or plan on getting or plan on at least playing? What's on your mind these days?
Okay, so let's see. So in terms of like PlayStation stuff, like I still don't have a PS5 of my own. My brother has one, but I'm like, I'm just going to wait a little bit before something. I always say I'll get a PS5 when Sly 5 comes out, but there's other stuff on the PS4 like the new Ninja Gaiden game and the Shinobi game especially. I played the demo of that and I loved that, but I'm waiting for that to go on sale because I know that will go on sale eventually. Silk Song I would like to get to as well. Yooka-Replay, that one is interesting. I'm waiting for that because that's already come out, but I'm waiting for them to fix the Switch 2 version because from what I have heard from other people who have played the game, they're like, if you can hold out for the Switch 2 version, hold out, because it's a little rough right now. They're saying they're going to patch it out. And so, like, you know what? I think I'll just wait for them to patch it. But yeah, that's what I'm excited for.
It just feels at home, right? To have the ukulele on the Switch.
Yeah, they were hyping up the Switch 2 version, especially in the pre-release, because they're like, oh, we're going to have it on a cartridge, and it's not going to be a game key card, and we've worked with Nintendo so much, and only for the Nintendo version to be apparently the most iffy one so far in terms of performance. So that just makes me laugh a little bit. So I'm going to wait till it's up to par with some of the other versions.
Which is interesting, because it should be expected that it doesn't run super well on the Switch when the original edition also didn't run super well on the Switch, and now they've made it, they've prettified it a lot more. So I don't know. I would hope, obviously, that it would run well, but I would expect it to not run super well. And yeah, I'm very eager to see how the Switch 2 version goes up, because I played a decent amount. Not a decent amount. I beat the original ukulele. I had a good amount of fun with it. I really enjoyed the actual movement of the characters and the different abilities that they had. The things that I'm a little bit hesitant with the replay version is, I know to appease a broader audience, they have made unlocking worlds easier, and you start off with all the movements instead of unlocking the movements. And I get that was like a complaint that a lot of people had when they played, but I kind of like the unlockable stuff quite a bit. The more Metroidvania aspect of progressing through collection. And I've been hearing some things about the with the inclusion, or with things being able to unlock quicker, you can beat the game faster, and there's generally less difficult challenges for pages, even though they've added a lot more pages than what was there before. Some stuff I'm just hesitant about. I'll see how it goes. I'm definitely going to try it out. I'll rent it first and see where it goes from there. So, not to hijack your answer, but that's kind of my answer too, since we're on the topic. I am excited to try Ukulele Replay, but I am also very very eager to get my own analysis on it. I like to develop my take when I have it in my hands, and that's what excites me. Because if there's one thing ukulele is, it's interesting.
Have you played Ukulele in the Impossible Lair?
I have, on the Switch edition. I enjoyed
that was
it a
60
decent
FPS
amount.
right out the gate.
Yeah, but it's still correct me if I'm wrong, it had some drops, didn't it? Like pretty frequent drops?
I don't know. I actually played it on the Xbox One because I had like something from like Team 17 back in the day. But I do own it on Switch. I've just never played it on Switch, but that is one of those games where they were able to get it 60 FPS on everything out the gate. The reason they didn't for like Ukulele and Replayly is because they didn't have Switch and Switch 2 development kits right out the gate, or they had to wait a little bit. But yeah, Impossible Lair is my favorite so far for the ukulele franchise.
I did enjoy it. I did feel like the input wasn't as precise as I wanted it to be, which I think is what made me put it down when the more difficult portions of the game came up. Like, I've never actually beaten the Impossible Lair or anything. But all in all, I know. All in all, though, I think it is definitely a more successful execution of their original vision. But I'm also just a sucker for 3D platformers, and that's the real genre I want to see succeed is 3D platforms. I want to believe things like Ukulele can exist in the 3D platforming space and crush it. And I'm hoping one day we get there. And with the remake, maybe that gives them some confidence to be able to make a sequel at some point, because I want to see 3D platformers absolutely knock it out of the park. And it's not easy for 3D platformers, but that's what I want to see.
Yeah, me too.
I was just going to say no shade to Impossible Lair at all. Looks like a solid game.
Yeah. It's definitely one of my favorite 2D platformers, and I never thought I would say that when I went into that game, but it really surprised me.
Yeah. The music is really solid too, and that does a lot. Really solid music does a lot. I think we've done it. I think we've done it. I think, yeah, I think we've gotten through the podcast. I think we've said the things we needed to say. I think now it's just time for us to start wrapping up. I do want to give a quick note to all those watching out there that you can also listen to this podcast on any of your favorite podcasting platforms. And if you already are, I applaud you. You can also watch the video version on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much, the Cartoon Gamer 8000.
Thank you.
Where can people find you if they want to hear more about your various think pieces and interviews and Pokemonth and Donkey Kong madness?
Well, if you want to follow the madness, you can find me on my YouTube page, The Cartoon Gamer. I also have a Twitter, Blue Sky, even a Facebook page, but that's where I post most of my updates. And if you like what you see, I hope you stick around and enjoy, because I have a lot of stuff, a lot of nonsense that I want to get out there, and if people listen to me prattle on, I feel good about myself just a little bit.
Great. I love that reasoning. You guys should listen to me because it feels great, and it's like, yeah, that's the realest thing out there. It feels great when people listen to you. We should all listen a little bit more. That's
thank you.
Of the story. Yeah. Make sure you guys check out the Cartoon Gamer 8000, of course, link in the description. And I hope you guys enjoy your stay. Oh, the last other thing to mention, there is the Pat Nat Games Discord server where you can discuss anything we've discussed here in depth and complain to my face, and I will take it personally. Thank you so much. Thank you all. And with that, that'll be it. See ya later. Goodbye. So long.
Bye.